A corpse discovery scene was actually filmed in that wood, which makes it the perfect place to start a video on true crime. January 1947, Elizabeth had been moving around California before settling in Hollywood. She dreamed of becoming an actress, but had to work as a cashier and a waitress to live day by day. As a waitress, Elizabeth met Major Matthew Michael Golden Jr., who offered to marry her before leaving to India and actually dying in a plane crash. Moving from hotels to shared rooms, Elizabeth tried to survive the best she could with the little money she had. On January 15, 1947, Elizabeth's body was found on a wasteland in LA. Her body was cut in two, drained of blood, mutilation could be seen on her thighs, breast. Her mouth was cut up to her ear. Bruises on her wrist showed that she had been attached and tortured before she died. Rumour has it that Elizabeth Short, that you might better know as the Black Dahlia, had a drink at the Cecil Hotel bar a few days before the murder happened. The Cecil Hotel is said to be haunted as many deaths and suicides occurred in there. In 2013, the hotel's names appeared again in the news as the surveillance footage of a Canadian student, Elise Lam, went viral. The video shows the young woman repeatedly pressing the buttons of the elevator, coming in and out of it to see if someone is approaching, hiding. Her naked body was later found in the water supply cistern as residents complained about odd tasting water and low pressure. These are one of the many stories that constitute the genre of true crime. And analysing why people are drawn to that genre is almost as exciting as the genre itself. So guess what? Yes, that's exactly what we're going to do today. C'est parti! Bonjour, my name's Alice, welcome back to my channel. Before we start the video, I'd like to give a little shout out to our sponsor today, Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. You can create your own website around your preferred aesthetic from a catalog of templates and use it as a landing platform for all the activity you do, YouTube, online shop, podcast, photography. Once they set up, you can connect all your social media accounts and share content between different platforms. Squarespace can also help you create effective email campaigns that will make you stand out in any inbox and bring more people to your activity. Finally, something that is super helpful is that you can connect and learn from other creators and entrepreneurs like Adrienne Raquel, who will show you how you can best use the platform. So if you feel like Squarespace is made for you and you want to check it out, go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/alice.cappelleyt to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you Squarespace for sponsoring the video, and now let's go back to it. True crime as a genre has always existed, but the growing popularity of it in the past few years forces us to question what makes it so appealing. As a society, we approach crime through statistics, going up, going down. True crime puts names and lives on the statistics. It brings empathy to the criminal justice system, which might be one of the reasons why women are so drawn to it. Because yes, women makes the majority of readers and viewers of true crime. The most telling finding of that study is that women are more likely to select stories that involve female victims. So there's a strong element of identification between female readers and female victims. Contrary to traditional court cases, true crime provides a psychological analysis of the people involved in the case. Voyeurism is totally accepted because it helps the viewer in the process of finding who's the culprit. Similarly, a certain degree of supernatural, superstition, basically anything that wouldn't be taken seriously in courts, are seen as less taboo in true crime. But what we see on screen, in books, in podcasts, are the extreme cases. And in France, we have a very specific term to refer to those attention-grabbing events that you'll find in newspapers, in tabloids, or news shows. We call them faits divers. Faits divers are very similar to true crime stories because they can be summed up in a few sentences or they can be stretched into details. They usually involve a small amount of people and are supposed to trigger a strong emotional response, positive or negative, but they don't provide any sociological analysis or contextualization really. French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu got interested in this concept of faits divers, the meaning behind it, the purpose of it, and he added ION at the end. Fait diversion, so facts that are meant to divert attention, diversion. Bourdieu wanted to draw attention to the fact that talking about sensational events, once-in-a-lifetime type of events, was drawing attention away from real issues. He didn't say that those individual cases didn't matter. What was interesting to him was the choice to put those cases forward instead of others. In the case of true crime, cases put forward are highly sensational, very unusual, and are therefore perceived as anomalies. The perpetrators of those crimes are lunatics, psychopaths. Going back to the Black Dahlia story, the way Elizabeth Short was tortured and killed killed showed clear signs of the murderer's psychological issues. The Black Dahlia was turned into books, films, but what people remembered wasn't the fact that a woman had been kidnapped and then left in the public space. It was the details and the atrocity of the crime. People didn't even refer to her as Elizabeth Short. She was the Black Dahlia, a cultural entity. Her name progressively disappeared from history as people were more interested in finding that of the murderer, focusing on or even fantasizing the psychopaths. We know that people like Ted Bundy actually had female groupies, women who wrote letters to them, who wanted to marry them, actually divert attention from a real societal issue, women feeling and being unsafe in public and private spaces. The reaction people get when they see those cases is, why do those people act that way? Rather than, how did we end up with people acting that way? Moving from the individual to the societal. True crime as entertainment stays at the individual level and diverts us from real societal issues around crime that, yes, aren't limited to women, but that's what we're focusing on today. Women's familiarity with that feeling of being unsafe turned those extreme cases in a form of catharsis. The sense of closure and general recognition across gender and social classes of the atrocity of the crime can be perceived as revenge for all those cases that aren't sensationalized, that don't make it to court, or are closed for lack of evidence or whatever. True crime appears as the opposite of the culture of silence, built around women's insecurity in public spaces. I remember after Sarah Everett's murder, Lucy Mountain shared a post that went viral, this one, "Text me when you get home, XX." Of course, the majority of women recognize that text that we send to each other after a night out or something. But what struck me is that a large amount of people didn't even know about this practice. That's exactly what I'm talking about when I use the phrase culture of silence. A good amount of people aren't aware of all the things women do to feel safer. Women have internalized the idea that they are potential victims, and so they have to do everything in their power to be the less attractive victim possible. And we still hear that she should have done this, she shouldn't have worn that. Once again, we divert attention away from a real societal issue to focus on the individual. During the film The Birds, Hitchcock said, "I always believe in following the advice of the playwright Sardou. He said, torture the women. The trouble today is that we don't torture women enough." It seems that we collectively share a fascination with women who suffer. In her book Souvenir de mon inexistence, Rebecca Solnit writes precisely that. In the arts, the torture and death of a woman has always been represented as erotic, exciting, satisfying, especially for young and beautiful women. And I'll add here that we need to put race in the equation as well. Khadija made a video on the missing white woman syndrome that goes in details into all of that, so I highly recommend you check it out after you're done watching this video. Merci. Hitchcock's Psycho, Carpenter's Halloween show women killed in atrocious ways, and that is part of the entertainment. That is what makes culture. In an episode of the French podcast Vénus s'épile-t-elle la chatte? I don't speak French a lot on this channel, but whenever I do, it's such a banger. The episode was on Picasso, and Sophie Chauveau, who wrote the book Picasso the Minotaur, argues that Picasso broke women both psychologically and physically in his paintings, and as some of his partners testified, in real life as well. Among his numerous partners and mistresses, Dora Maar is probably the woman that suffered the most. Picasso called her the crying woman and regularly painted her in that poor mental state. Dora gave up a promising career in photography following Picasso's advice and helped him with his art as a muse and by becoming a painter herself. It really felt like he wanted to humiliate her for his own art and development as an artist, and broadly speaking, hurting women was part of the creation of art and culture. The painting Dora and the Minotaur, an animal he often used as a metaphor of himself, is striking in that regard. The power dynamics in the painting are deeply unequal. She's submissive while he's in control. It feels like we're capturing that very moment before something really bad happens. After 10 years of knowing each other, Picasso left her depressed, alone. She was sent to a psychiatric hospital, while his career kept flourishing. But Picasso is definitely not the only artist who broke women's bodies and mental health for art. As discussed in Mola Chollet's latest book, Reinvent Love, I'm not sure it's available in English, the idea of the tormented artist has given permission to creative men to behave in very disrespectful ways towards people around them, especially women, mothers, partners, who are perceived as carers, therefore in charge of dealing with those tormented souls. Women's bodies are canvases to express individual but also societal illnesses. So we talked about powerful men hurting women, but what about the powerless? Domestic violence, for example, is very often a trickle-down consequence of poverty. Men that society made powerless turn to domestic violence as a way to reassert their authority over someone or something, a woman's body. In her video, Khadija also talked about the phrase "no human involved," a law enforcement slang used to describe crimes against people that are deemed subhuman. Drug addicts, sex workers, people of color. Capitalizing on women's broken bodies is part of the history of art, and true crime is not much different. In true crime stories, the position in which the body was found is systematically specified, as well as the way the deceased was dressed or undressed. Certain expressions are repeated in many stories. Sweater raised above the chest, jeans lowered to the ankles, skirt raised. Everything is done so that we can visualize the woman's corpse. The way the stories are told is mainly done through what we now commonly call the male gaze, namely a heterosexual man's perspective on women in art. What's striking there, and as we said earlier, true crime is mostly watched by women. So is true crime a cathartic experience, or is it a form of internalized misogyny? When thinking about why would women be drawn to true crime, I was reminded of a presentation a sociology major gave during a seminar. Her research topic was the growing popularity of self-defense classes among women, and I think a lot of things that she said could be compared to true crime. She explained that the majority of women who came to the classes felt unsafe in public spaces and wanted to be able to defend themselves. Some of the women also recognized that going to those classes made them more prone to see danger around them. Being trained to react to crime made them see it everywhere. Similarly, women who watch true crime can learn from the cases they are confronted with. They can then feel more prepared and would better know how to react if one of those situations was to occur. In self-defense classes, the instructor is usually a man. He'll pretend to be an aggressor, and he'll act according to what he thinks an aggressor would do. Similarly, in true crime, the male gaze is very present, but can actually help women understand what gets men's attention and what doesn't. True crime therefore becomes a sort of self-defense training. Women get to learn how to anticipate an aggression, but the result is the same as with the self-defense classes. They create an environment where being unsafe is permanent. Some political groups capitalize on and feed that feeling. Nemesis, a French feminist organization, regularly highlights sexual assaults on women. As traditional feminist pages, they provide testimonies, but unlike traditional feminist pages, they focus on a very specific type of criminal. Migrants, Algerian, black. Their message is very clear. 1, not all men create an unsafe environment for women. And 2, immigration is what makes public spaces unsafe. Obviously, these women stood with Marine Le Pen, who succeeded in making insecurity a hot topic in French politics. Crime, and more specifically violence towards women, as a medium for entertainment or for a anti-immigration political agenda, moves us away from the roots of the problem and prevents us from establishing a real discussion around how to make public spaces safer for women. I'm not saying that watching true crime is bad. My sister, who helped me research this video, is a big fan, and she understands that the sensationalism of true crime stories shouldn't be a condition to make violence against women a public discussion. That in most cases, crimes aren't sensational, they aren't even violent, but that doesn't make them less worthy of attention. That's it for today. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, we can continue the discussion in the comments section. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, if it's not done already. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring the video, and also thank you to my Patreons for their support. A special thank to Juchelle, Carla, Alberto, Oswald, Was At Witch, Jay, and Benjamin. And yeah, I'll see you very soon. Salut! I look like a Catholic scout today. Don't judge me.